All right, we're going to give it a few minutes here and just let some people join in. I don't know what happened. I just got disconnected. But we should be up and running here, so good to go. Rolo, hey, welcome in. Prax, what's up? Alfred, Angel, welcome in, welcome in. Julian, Chanel, how's everybody doing? I love how I've already got 2 likes on the video and I haven't said anything but hi. Nice. That's a real follower right there. Thank you. Yeah, Enzo, that was actually yesterday. Brunch was at there was a cruise. There's a cruise in San Diego that goes out in the harbor, and it's kind of like a buffet style. So really nice thing to do during the day. I'll be moving to a place here shortly that's pretty much landlocked, so trying to enjoy the ocean as much as possible. All right, let's get going on this live stream here. I think we've got enough people in to get started. Okay, everybody, welcome to this week's watch list review session with Spartan Trades. Full disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Everything that I say in this stream is just my opinion. And it's my personal trading plan. So just keep that in mind. If you're new, again, welcome in. Tonight we will be reviewing my top stock picks for tomorrow. We're going to get into some charts that may have potential depending on where they open. We're going to talk about what I call side charts, which are charts that we should have alerts set on for the rest of the week as they may have potential. And then at the end of the stream, I will be answering any questions that you have about any other stocks in particular, if they're not mentioned here by me in the early part of the stream. So I'm currently on the daily chart time frame for /ES. This is the future that SPY follows. It basically gives us insight as to how the overall market is moving. So a scenario that I gave last week in the live stream was that the market sentiment could be so bullish that we just continue to push. And that is exactly what happened right here. That is exactly what also rings true for this week coming up. That the market sentiment could still be so bullish that we just continue to push. Last week we saw the market really push, into new highs day after day after day. And I don't expect the same thing going into this week, just to be honest. But it is possible, right? Anything is possible. So this really makes analysis on the overall market fairly easy. Either we get a new high or we don't. And that's primarily what I'm looking for. In my opinion, this is a little bit overdone. It's a little overextended, but the trend is your friend. So if we get a new high over 41.21, that bullish sentiment continues, and we can continue to look to take stocks long into the highs. So 41.21 is where alert 1 should be set. This is the high for /ES. If we fail to get a break of this 41.21 level, then we can prepare to start to see either some sort of pullback or consolidation. There are a couple of levels of support that I see just below where we're currently trading at. That's going to be, support point 1 will be right around 40.75. So just remember that old resistance, which is where this bit of consolidation occurred, can become new support. So you see one time it was already tested here as a support. So if we pull back, I would expect to see this area maybe hold up as a support once again. If that level fails, I would put support point 2 at 40.50. That's going to be based off of the lows of this consolidation. And then below that, I think it's possible that we come all the way back down to the 4K price point. So that's kind of my levels that I'll be watching for this week. Alerts 2 and 3 should be set at probably 40.75 and then 40.50. And a break below 40.50, I think this has potential to come all the way back down to 4,000. I don't know if if the entire move is going to retrace like that. I would hope not, but you know, I do think that we're getting a little bit overextended. I mean, you even see the RSI right here is a little bit overbought. So just something to be mindful of. If we do get a pullback, you know, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It just means that, you know, maybe we're due for one. So as for my watch list for tomorrow, I want you to have a plan for whichever direction the market decides to push. So if we're breaking out, have a plan for a breakout. If we're pulling back, have a plan for the market pulling back. I personally feel like a pullback is more likely at this point than a continuation, but I mean, we'll see what happens. So as for my watch list, again, here is what I have for you. But first, press the like button for me. Let's make this video a record video for me on likes. It really helps out when you do that. I appreciate you for doing that also. By the way, last week was an amazing week trading live with the team. I see that Juan actually already mentioned it, saying that the voice channel in the Discord is a game changer. So quick statistic for you, we traded 4 out of 5 days live last week, and out of the 10 plays on the watch list that hit, 9 of them were winners. So we will be trading live again a couple of days this week, this upcoming week. If you are not in the Discord server and you want to trade with me daily, there's a link to join the Discord down below. But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed that live trading and it's something that really does help you out, I think that we can implement, or I can implement more of that into our routine. You know, maybe we'll do live trading 2 or 3 days a week at least. All right, back to the watch list. Again, if you press the like button, thank you. In no particular order, the first one that we will be watching is Fubo. Fubo. This was on the watch list for Friday. We liked that it was holding support right here around $20, so I drew a trend line right there. That's going to be your support point. Note the big blue bar in the background. That's the volume. So a lot of volume came back into this stock today, or on Friday rather, as it broke the downward trend line and pushed up. It met resistance right here at right around $25. So that's going to be your 200 EMA. Remember, a stock trading above, that's the blue line, right? A stock trading above the 200 EMA is considered to be in an uptrend, so it likes to try to validate that area as a support. That's what you see here. While a stock trading below the 200 EMA tends to be in a downtrend, and it likes to try to validate that level as a resistance. So that's what it was doing here, is testing that 200 EMA. I'm looking for this move to continue, though, to the top side. But I don't think that we necessarily need to wait for this to get back up to 25 to take a trade on it, because the stock is priced so cheap that a move over 24 up to 25 yields a 4% profit margin, which is plenty enough to take a trade on. We really only need 2%, so the stock only needs to move 50 cents for us to get decent returns on it. But I would expect that if this move is going to continue, it would want to test that $25 price point again. So my plan, as of right now, will be a long idea over 24 with a price target of 25 in mind. And if it goes beyond that, great. If it doesn't quite get there, that's fine too, right? As long as we hit our 50 cent room or 50 cent move that we are looking for. Now, these levels that I'm giving you right now, they are subject to change. So a lot of people ask me, well, Gates, what happens if you're not in the Discord server and you don't get the updated trigger levels? What happens if this opens up above 24? Well, then you need to be able to adapt and adjust your trigger levels accordingly. Understanding that 25 is the next level of resistance, if this opens up above 24, what do you think our trigger level will be? 25, right? Okay, so use some common sense. And if this opens up above 25 and let's say it's up here at like 27, do we even want to trade it and put it on the watch list at that point, or has the expected move that we were looking for already taken place? It's already happened, right? So there may be something else that presents a better setup just based on the risk to reward. I mean, if the move happens without us, it sucks. It happens all the time, but that may not be the best stock for you to trade on that given day. So as of right now, we're looking for a long position over 24, price target of 25 in mind. The beauty of being in the server is that you're going to get those updated trigger levels from me on the watch list in the morning. But use these levels that I'm giving you right now as guidance points. There is a bit of a gap down below 21.4 to 20.6. To be honest, I'm not even looking at this as a potential short setup. But if I had to give a short trigger, it would probably be right here at 21.4. That's just going to be the low of day there. But I wouldn't even consider a short position on Fubo unless it broke the $20 support point. And that's basing that level off of the daily. Okay. So just looking for a long idea continuation play over $24. The next stock on the main chart watch list for us will be PLTR. I like this stock. It makes great moves, makes big moves typically intraday, and is priced fairly cheap, so it's pretty affordable. The only thing is that it's been on this downtrend for quite some time, ever since it fell, so it's been making lower high, lower high, lower high. But what I like is that recently it's kind of validated the bounce here off of the 200 EMA, and is giving us a break of this downward trend line, which, arguably you could say that that's a bull flag formation right there, and pushing up. So what we want to see is a break of this downward trend line right here. And we're getting pretty close to that. The only thing is this pattern that I'm drawing out, that trend line that I'm drawing out, it can be subjective, right? So I can make this look like it's breaking right now or about to break. I can also make it look like it has a little bit more room to go. So just be careful. Really, we want to see this over 25. We want to see it over this 50 EMA. But from where it's currently trading at, there is a potential play up to that $25 price point. So just like with Fubo, the stock is priced cheap enough to where we don't need to wait for it to get to 25 to take a trade on it. That's going to be our price target, but I think a move over 24.5 up to that price point would be all right. I think a move probably over 24.3 would be okay. And I think even a move over 24, let's say it opens up below 24, a move over 24 up to 24.5 would be a decent trade. So there's a few different levels that I'm watching here. First one is going to be 24.3. The second one is going to be 24.5. And the third one is going to be $24. Ideally, I want to see it open up above 24 but under 24.3. So that way we can kind of capitalize on this move a little earlier than waiting on it to open up above 24.5 or above 24.3. We'd like to see it open up in this range, so that way we can capitalize on the trade as it's moving up. All right, price target is going to be 25. That's going to be your 50 EMA on the daily. These indicators on the daily chart time frame that are the most relevant are the 50 EMA and the 200 EMA. Those are the strongest ones. I don't even really use the other two right here on the daily. So I'm primarily looking at that one and this one there. They're both going to be used as levels of support and resistance. So in this case, it's going to be treated as a resistance. Plus, 25 is a nice round number, isn't it? I would expect to see some resistance there. And I saw somebody actually mention PLTR earlier, so there's your analysis and breakdown on it. The next one on the watch list is going to be QCOM, QCOM. We mentioned this one last week, but didn't really get a move on it. In fact, it kind of just range traded here, which is okay because that's building a support system, or a base basically, over the 50 EMA. So you see, I've already drawn this downward trend line. It's broken that level. It's already confirmed the bounce here off of the 200 EMA. It's reclaimed the 50 EMA and has now built a range with support around 138 and resistance around 141. So all that we are looking for is a move over this $141 price point up to the next level of resistance. Now this is why I do my analysis on the daily chart time frame, because I want to see from here where's our next level, our next major level of resistance, and I see that right around that price point there. So it's going to be 145, maybe 144, 145 area will be the next level of resistance. Above that, I would expect to see some resistance at 150, and then we have this gap area over top of all of that at 152. And that's going to be a likely level of resistance as well. So the bottom side of gaps and the top side of gaps act as support and resistance points. So I know that's kind of like a lot to take in. So just one step at a time. Over 141 is the play that I'm looking for tomorrow. That's going to be a break of this range right here and a confirmation bounce off of the 50 EMA. My price target is going to be 144 to 145. If we get that break, then the rest of the week I will be looking for a continuation play on this up to 150, 152. From there, I will be looking for a gap fill. All right, so there are multiple levels to this stock and this setup if it goes the way that we think it could go, which is up. Okay, so 141 up to 144, that's going to be the play. We'll see. It needs to hold 138 though. If it breaks 138, I'm not even interested in it anymore. I'm not interested if it breaks 138, because then it would be breaking the range to the bottom side, and that's not, I'm like, I know who I am as a trader, and I would say 90% of the trades I take are long positions. So, that's what I'm going to analyze for. That's what I will always kind of lean towards analyzing for. Even if the market's coming down, there's usually something that we can find that has some sort of news or catalyst that's moving it up, or something that's just showing relative strength against the overall trend. All right, so that's all that I have for the main watch list stocks. But don't leave the stream just yet, because there are a couple of swing ideas I want to put out to you, and then there are some side charts that we're going to talk about. And all of these side charts have the potential to make the main chart watch list. All right, it just depends on where they open up at. So just to recap, Fubo, F-U-B-O, will be one that we are looking for a play on tomorrow. Remember, we want to see it reclaim or break $24. It had some big volume coming in, and by the way, that volume that came in was it was a news play, right? That was news about them streaming the World Cup or getting the rights to stream the World Cup. So do your own due diligence on that. We're looking for a price target of $25. It only needs to move 50 cents to $1 for us to make some decent profits on. PLTR recently bounced off that 20 level of support and that 200 EMA, so we're just looking for a break of the consolidation, which is a long position over 24.3 or 24.5 with a price target of 25. And then QCOM, we just went over that one. Range trading here on the daily, consolidating over the 50 EMA. We're just looking for a long idea over 141, which will be a break of the range and a validation of the 50 EMA as a support now that it's reclaimed it. Let's talk about some side charts. While I am doing that, post up anything here in the chat section that you want me to review. I just ask that you format the review tickers like the watch list with levels that you're watching, and maybe a sentence or two why you think the stock may have potential. Please, no penny stocks. They're just typically pump and dumps, and there's not a lot of analysis to be done on them. Plus, I don't trade any stocks anyways. So the first one that's a side chart for tomorrow will be APHA, or possibly Tilray, TLRY, or possibly CGC. I'm going to just take a look at all of them. This is the pot sector. APHA has earnings prior to market open. So we may get a gap move up. And if we do get a gap move up on APHA, we will probably put it on the watch list for a play, right? Just plan to utilize a gap strategy. Hopefully you know one. If you don't know one, there's one located in the server under the guides channel. So give that guide a read. Not a lot of technical analysis to be done here. It's just going to depend on if it gaps up or not. If it gaps up, we'll put it on the watch list, and I'll give you some levels that we're looking for. If it doesn't gap up or doesn't do anything special, then I don't really care about putting it on the watch list. Or if it gaps down, I probably won't even put it on the watch list. But APHA. The reason why I mentioned TLRY and CGC was because those are possible sympathy plays to APHA. So take your pick of the litter. If one moves, there's a good chance that they all move, and in the same direction as well. Microsoft, MSFT. This one is a side chart for now because it's so overextended. Well, I mean, I say overextended, but look, it's all green candles, right? It kind of looks like SPY. So it's a side chart because all that we really need to do here is just set an alert at 256. If it breaks into the new highs, it's a bullish sign, and the stock's moving up, we can look to take it long. If it fails to break into the highs, then I don't really care if it pulls back. I don't care what it does until it probably gets back up to 256. Although there is this gap area, and it's very minor, below 252 down to 251. All right, so if it fails to hold 252 as a support, I would think that 250 is going to validate as a support potentially. So I would look for a short position below 252, otherwise long over 256. And if it trades within the range, I don't care. Let it chop around. SQ, another one that we'd been trading last week on this run up right here. So just a simple continuation play idea as well. Long idea over 256. I would expect this one to probably pull back also. So it has more of a chance to pull back than it does to continue. But there's something that's really interesting here, and that's going to be, actually, never mind. This gap area right there, I believe I mentioned it last week. I did mention it last week, and this is close enough. It pretty much filled that gap up to 266. So never mind that gap area. They're only good for one fill, and then after that, they're not really relevant other than the fact that, that's going to be your resistance point. So we're going to see. We'll see if this can get over 266 and continue up. And if it does, we can take a trade. If not, let it do its thing, let it pull back or consolidate or whatever. RKT, this has been one that's made a few pop moves off of the $22 price point. You saw it right here. You see it right here and even right there. So maybe we might get it again here soon. It's trading right at the 50 EMA. It's really moving sideways, so not a lot of intraday movement, to be honest. But it is still validating 22 as a support. So long as it continues to validate 22 as a support, what I'm looking for is I just have an alert set right over $23. So if it can get over 23.2, that might be enough confirmation for me to say, well, this is getting, that's going to be your bounce move up. So just something to keep an eye on. Be careful trading this one though, because it seems like it likes to pop and then come right back down. So if you're in for the pop move, I would look to take profits into the strength. Don't overextend your stay, right? You don't want to be caught in a move like this where you're like, yeah, it's up to $28, and then the next week it just comes all the way back down and does nothing. CSCO. This one's forming a bull pennant here on the daily chart time frame, and this is not the highs, but what we're looking for is a breakout of this bull pennant pattern, and really we'd like to see it break 53, but I think there's a possible trade over 52.5. That should be enough confirmation in my eyes that it's moving. So you want to see higher volume come in. A day like this would be great on a breakout move with a price target of 54 in mind. So there's a couple of ways to trade it. Either you can set an alert at 52.5 or set one at 53. Wait for a break of those two, either one of those price points, and then plan to take a trade around it. Or you could just keep an eye on it, and whenever it gets a candle that closes on the outside of this pennant pattern and you see higher volume coming in, that may be your confirmation move right there. And then the next day you can trade it for a continuation play. Okay, I got three more for you, and then I'll talk about a couple of potential swing ideas. Tesla is just a straight up side chart. So I don't know if it's going to have the potential here to break 700 or not, but it is trying to. It seems it's failed here, it's failed there, it's failed right here. So it needs to get a daily candle to close over 700 for it to have my interest. It needs to reclaim this 50 EMA, close over 700. Really, if it closes over 720 or gets near 720, then it really, I mean, that looks super interesting to me. But one step at a time, needs to clear 700. So I just have an alert set there. I have an alert set at 720, and I believe over 720 it can run to about 750 or so. And you know, once Tesla gets running, it's one of those stocks that likes to get momentum behind it and stay running for a few days. So keep an eye on it at 700. If it can break 700, you might want to consider putting that on your watch list. All right, these next two stocks, they are stocks that I'm going to consider. So I just consider them others, meaning they're not really a side chart stock for me. I'm probably not going to put them on the watch list tomorrow, but if they open up at the levels that I'm about to talk about, then they may have potential to replace some of the stocks on the watch list. So one of them is going to be MU. This one has had resistance at the $96 price point, well, not once, not twice, but 3 times now, 4 times really. So it's having trouble breaking 96. So I want to check on this in the morning and see if it's opening up near 96, and if it is, I might put it on the watch list. I know that this looks like the all-time highs. Let me back this up for you for the max available. Looks like the all-time highs, but it's not, right? So 97.5 is going to be your resistance point over 96, right? But it needs to. We want to see a daily candle close above 96 for that continuation move up. So I think it has potential to run to the all-time highs if it moves up, and then above that up to 100. Those will be the two levels that I'm watching over 96. But it's not there yet, right? And so that's why I'm not even considering this as a side chart or anything. I just want to see where it opens up at, and if it's close to 96, we'll take a trade. If not, it's not ready. The other one is Uber. This was one that I actually mentioned last week, and we did get this kind of gap fill play right here, but it just didn't do anything after that. So it's pulled back now and almost looks like a bull flag pattern. So I would keep an eye on this, probably over 58, but really I want to wait for that extra confirmation, I think, for a move over 59. To see, that'll be my confirmation that we are getting a bull flag breakout. Above that, $60 or 61 area is going to be your next two price points or next two resistance points, and then 64 or above those 2 points. Well, actually, 63 is probably more relevant. 63 and 64. Remember, resistance and support, it's all areas, right? So yeah, above this area, this is going to be a resistance area, and above this, then this area will be a resistance area. All right, so just looking for a bull flag breakout on Uber. If we get it, alert set over 59 for me. You can set them over 58 if you would like, but I don't want to be caught in a fake out wick over 58. And then this will only make the main chart watch list if it opens up above 58 and just under 59. Okay. Two charts that you may want to do some research on and consider them. Potential swing plays, FIVE. I've mentioned this one a couple of times. And this is trading, breaking out of my favorite pattern here, which is the ascending triangle. It's a series of higher lows all being compressed into one point of resistance. What I like is that this is not just some point of resistance. This is a very major level of resistance. It's a $200 whole number. We're just under the all-time highs at 205. The reason why this is a swing idea and not a day trade idea is because we trade options and the contracts on 5 don't look that favorable. So I would consider I'm considering buying some shares and just holding on with a stop loss just below 200. I want to see it hold over that price point and break 205. The next one for a swing idea is Lulu. Want to see this break this range right here, reclaim the 50 EMA, reclaim this 200 EMA, and move topside. I think that there's a lot of potential for this to make up some lost ground. So if I'm drawing a trend line across the tops of these candles, this is what we kind of have. Looks like it's breaking the downward trend here, right? But we want that extra confirmation. So there is resistance on the daily at $320. Support's going to be around $300. There's your range. A break of 320 would be a break of the 50 and 200 EMA, would be a break of the range, and a break of this downward trend line. So my stop loss would probably be placed, just below 320, with a price target of probably 350 in mind, or 360. All right, swing trade idea, by the way. Just be careful if you're swinging anything. If the market pulls back, there's potential for these stocks to pull back with it. All right, so don't buy anything trying to jump the gun. You may want to wait and see what the market does. All right, that's all that I have for you. I'm going to get into your charts that you've been talking about here, and there's quite a few of them. So let's start at the beginning. Will this be recorded? Yeah, so it's going to be available to you for like the next 24 hours. You said you auto-like every time. Thanks. Yeah, I got 31 likes on this video already. You guys are doing great at that. Live trading was great. Work full time, so the live chat doesn't help me. Yeah, that's the issue that I run into. So some people, when we're live trading, some people do work full time, and I understand that, and they really rely on text alerts. And so for that reason, we're not going to be live trading tomorrow because I cannot, I've tried it before, I just can't focus on the charts, take the play myself, explain it in the live trade, and type it out to the whole team all at the same time in a reasonable manner. It's just too much to be doing at once. So I would rather either just give the live alerts or text the live alerts. And I know that when I'm on the live with the team, I'm neglecting the text alerts, and people do rely on that. So for that reason, we have to have a balance there. Juice, happy Monday, Junior. Welcome in. CC, yeah, we went over PLTR. Check that. Check the stream. And at the beginning of the. It's right at the beginning. So whenever I end this live stream, you can check it out there. QCOM looks good if it breaks. Yes, I agree. Rosa's been killing it lately too. Great work with your trades. Super consistent. I'm gonna skip these because I need some more analysis than that. So let's talk about BABA under 220. It's been looking weak, and news about the fine. Yeah, so BABA is actually forming a range here on the daily, and this was one that we talked about last week as well. So there's your range. Support is at $220. I already have my trend line there. I would 100% agree with you. A break below 220 looks okay for a short position, not a long position. And then the flip side of that, I have an alert set at 232. A break of that above that, looks good for a long position. Okay, we'll talk about Apple. Apple support at 130, resistance at 145. Yeah, so resistance is at 145. I would agree, but that's not the most relevant point of resistance to where we're currently at. So when you're identifying support and resistance, what you want to do is start with where we are currently trading at, and then look for the most recent points of support and resistance. That's going to put resistance at 138. Do you see my alert set there? Why 138? Well, if we look at where the stock has peaked at 3 times, here, here, and here, that clearly shows us that if the stock continues to move up, that's going to be a major level that we need to overcome prior to getting to 145. All right? So have an alert set at 138. And if this were to continue up, you could take a long position or a long position over 133. Sure, right? That would be a continuation play. As for your support, you said it was at 130. I would agree with you. 130 is a pretty relevant price point, so we're going to draw a trend line across the whole chart here. It's kind of messy, so you can't really see 130 being validated as a support too much, but I do see, if I move it down, looks like 127.5 is a resistance, right? And was a support back here, so maybe that price point is a little more relevant than 130, but 130 is a nice round number. I would probably expect some support in that area. If that price point fails, there is some support down here at 127.5. Actually, there's a little bit of a gap right here. It's super tiny. So I don't know how strong that would be, but there's also potential support on the top side of that gap right there. So that's going to be at 120, let's just say 128.5. All right. But yeah, I would adjust your resistance overhead from 145 down to, this 138 area. Okay, so Nardle Baby said low, LOW, recent all-time high break, 198.5 key level in the 5-minute, possible continuation play, 200 call contracts look good. One thing you need to consider is your risk to reward on this stock. So what do we know to be true about whole numbers? They act as natural points of support and resistance. So since we are pushing into the highs, there is nothing as far as previous price action goes dictating where the next logical point of resistance will be. So we can assume that the whole number at 200 will be a resistance point, which means that if you're looking for a continuation play over the high, which you said, would you say 198.5 on the 5-minute looks good? Okay, I would agree with that. 198.5 for a continuation play long, up to the whole number at 200. Look at your profit margin. It's less than 1%. It's 0.73%. So you need to consider the risk to reward there. If you took the trade long over the high at 198.5, is there enough profit margin up to 200 for you to take decent profits on, or are you limiting yourself? My answer would be that you're limiting yourself. I like the trade though. I like the analysis. The only thing I don't like is that 200 is right here. So if this level that we're talking about taking it long over was 200, it would look 10 times better to me, but it's not. So there's a little bit of room for it to run, yes, but you got to be wary of that $200 price point. This actually is an ascending triangle, by the way, and that's a very clean one. Right? So does this pattern on the 5-minute look similar to this pattern on the daily? It does, right? Patterns can be found on any time frame. Keep that in mind. The longer that a pattern forms, the stronger the breakout or breakdown will be. Since this is an all-day pattern, you may get a strong breakout and a break over 200, but we don't know that that's going to happen. So I would just be cautious. Your analysis is still good. Just be cautious about that $200 price point overhead. All right? Okay, hope that helps. Prax says that PLTR has a presentation on April 14th called Double Click Stock Might Move Up. Maybe. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I'm a technical based trader, and I don't like to really trade based on what I think the stock could do, given news that's coming out or pending news. There's nothing wrong with playing the stock after the news is announced. In fact, if the stock moves significantly as news is announced, most of the times you're going to get a sizable pullback to be able to take an entry on, and that's kind of where I would look to play the news. So and that's just my 2 cents on the PLTR. It still looks great though, and from the technical standpoint, PLTR still looks great under as a trade for tomorrow. All right, let's talk about. I've already answered a couple of your guys' stocks, so let's talk about the. Oh, okay. mRNA. I see a few of you mentioning that one. So it is over the 50 EMA and broke the downtrend on the daily. So this would be your 50 EMA, that green dotted line. Breaking the downtrend on the daily would look something like that. Volume coming in, yes. This looks pretty interesting actually, because we could also draw a trend line that looks like that. Although I don't know what kind of pattern that would be, but you can probably argue that that's a big bull flag as well, right? So all kind of different ways that we can make this look good. Yeah, for a stock that's doing something like this though, if it's breaking the downtrend, simple continuation play would work. So a long idea over 144. Gnarl Baby and Rosa are both mentioned that one. Enzo, we did talk about Apple already, so we're going to move on to the next one, Starbucks. This was one that I had mentioned previously as a potential play into the highs, and so it's right here at the highs again. Easy analysis. You'll want to set an alert over 114. If it breaks that level, you have a potential play. The only thing about Starbucks is that the intraday volume isn't that high, so you may be you might be in a position where you have to hold for longer than you would on other stocks, unless you got like an opening pop move or something like this that you were able to catch. But yeah, alert set at 114. It's ranging here. It actually made a low, but it did get saved towards the end of the day. So thanks for re-alerting that for us. I'm going to keep an alert set there at 114 as well. Twitter. Somebody mentioned this one. Over one, what'd you say? Over 72 can send it to 75 in a few days. Yeah, so I actually have an alert set at 72 as well. Yes, it is breaking the downtrend here. And so it started to move up. Remember, we were trading Snapchat. Here's your resistance point at 72 and why I have an alert set there. So there's your peak, right? This kind of bear flag formation that where it peaked out at and then pulled back. So to get a true break of the downtrend, what you want to see is a break of this trend, which is a trend lower high, well, a high, a lower high, and then a lower high, right? And so we've broken this lower high, but we've yet to make a higher low. So there's your low, your lower low. We need to see some sort of higher low. Maybe this could be validated as a higher low, but I want to see some sort of red higher low here, and then a break of this neckline at 72, and that would really kind of be the confirmation for me. Either way, 72 is still relevant. All right, let's talk about Target, TGT. This is one that's consolidated close to 200. We talked about that as being a range break play. So you got the break of 202, the run up to about 206, the highs at 207, and then what did it start to do again? Treat that old resistance as new support, building a range between 202 and 206. So the alert here is a move over 207. Nardle Baby said a move over 207 would do. I would agree, but I don't think you need to really wait for a move over 207. You might get away with a trade over 206, given that you do have a range being built here under 206 on the daily chart. So you may not necessarily need to wait for a break of that high. Although if you did wait for a break of the high, that's just extra confirmation for you. And by the way, Target's another one that kind of tends to, it's like Starbucks, right? It tends to move a little slower. So just even on this day right here where it broke out, it was like doing a slow grind and move up. Let's review Blink BLNK. I don't really see anything here for a day trade that looks super clean. I do like that it bounced off the 200 EMA. I like that it's reclaimed the 50 EMA. I actually like that it pushed up off of the 50 EMA and made like a high here on higher volume. But it still has a ways to go before I really like any sort of trade on it. So what I would ideally like to see is I want to see it reclaim the $50 whole number and push up towards 54, and above that, that's when it kind of gets interesting, right? So then that's when I think we can probably see these bigger days come back into the stock. Tough to do analysis on it though, because I just don't see anything here that's worth a day trade. So you would want to see just an overall view. You would want to see it continue to hold $40 as a support. So if like you own this stock long term, well, maybe not long term, but if you're swinging the stock currently, you would want to see it hold $40 for this uptrend to continue. And of course, any break of the recent highs looks good up to the $50 and $54 price point. So long as it holds the 50 EMA as support, I think this stock is okay. But as for a day trade, I don't see anything here right now. GNUS, consolidating, oops, GNUS. So you said this one has been, oh man, it's a penny stock. Let's see what you said though. Consolidating for the past few days, could fill a big gap if it breaks 1.9. All right, so the gap that I see, first of all, is not over 1.9, right? I see a gap here though, above 235 up to 254. Yes, it is consolidating, but this could arguably be like a bear flag rather than a bullish consolidation. So it's true that one of the first stages of a reversal is consolidation, right? So when the stock is pulled back to some level of support, in this case the 200 EMA, and begins to consolidate here, you could see a reversal on the way up. But because this previous trend is down, it makes it look like this could also be validated as a bear flag, right? Which would mean the next move from here is also down. So it's tough to say which way this is going to go from here. I mean, it tends to get pumped up and then come right back down. So just be careful if you're trading something like that. I don't see the gap over 190 though. Yeah, look at that. I don't know how this is like algorithmic trading right here. All right. Disney. Consolidating above the 50 EMA looks nice. Sure. Yeah, it's not done much though since it's rejected 200. It did break the downtrend here for a little bit, so it's kind of in that phase where, like, I guess it's deciding if it's going to validate the 50 EMA as a support or not, and it can either go up or go down from here off of this 50. So I would wait to see what it does here prior to taking a trade on it, right? So you'd want to see a bounce for validation, or you want to see a breakdown for validation, and then trade whatever direction it decides to go from there. I'm gonna do a couple of more. So I'll do plug and FSR, and then there was one more I saw on TSM, and we'll call it an afternoon after that. So plug. All right, so plug this one. I don't know what this is gonna do from here. I like the fact that it's holding the 200 EMA as a support. I like the fact that it's trying to validate 30 as a support, but there's a lot of things that need to go on for this to look interesting from here. So a big bounce move off of this low would look good for a potential double bottom play, right? But there's so much minor resistance above this price point, it's hard to take a trade on it, because you have resistance at 34, you have resistance here at 36, you have resistance here at 38, then you have resistance at 40. So it needs to really just kind of blow through all of those price points and get close to this gap area above 40 or at 40 for me to want to take a trade on it up to 42. Of course, if there's bullish news on the stock, or if big volume comes in on the stock, then it does. I mean, it's one of those that can reverse pretty quickly and make some fast moves up. But for right now, it needs to continue to validate 30 as a support. All right, FSR. This looks like it's breaking down, actually. So it tried to validate the $16 price point as support at the 200 EMA, and it just couldn't do it, right? So there's your breakdown. But it has a ton of support right here around 14.5. So I would be looking for, oh yeah, that's what you mentioned. So you did mention that under 14.5 can flush. Yeah, I would probably agree with that as well. FSR, it's been a tough one to trade. It's actually on my list, but I took it off for quite a bit because it was doing this chop thing, and then once it got hot again, I added it. But every time it makes big moves, it just retraces. I mean, for the most part, retraces all the way back down. So, yeah, I mean, I guess if you're a short bias trader, this is probably the setup that you want to be looking for. You could get away with a short buy below 15, by the way, down to probably 14.5. But yeah, that's going to be big support there. The last one I said I was going to talk about was TSM. And so the analysis that was mentioned here was it was just a long over 128. Earnings is coming up, right, on 4/15. So that kind of makes the analysis, any technical analysis, just pointless. Because what typically happens when you have earnings released is the stock moves typically either really far up or really far down. So I mean, it can just open up flat as well, but at that point, kind of like all of the technical analysis resistance and support points go out the window, and it's just moving based on the fundamentals at that time. So something like this, I wouldn't even waste my time doing any analysis on. Just play it after earnings, right? It's the same deal with APHA. So that's why we said or that's why I said earlier, we're gonna wait and see what this does in the morning before I decide to put out any analysis on it. But I want to see what the price action looks like because of or as a result of earnings. Right, and hopefully we get a gap up on this stock, and we can use a gap up strategy to play it. Okay, so sorry I didn't get to everything, but we are nearing that 1 hour mark. So thank you everybody for your time. Let's make some money tomorrow. I will not be trading live tomorrow, but I will be trading live with everybody on Tuesday. Press the like button if you haven't done so already. If you're tuning into the stream late, this will be available for the next 24 hours. So as soon as I end the stream, just press play and start it back over from the beginning. Quick review, FUBO, PLTR, QCOM, all will be on the main chart watch list for tomorrow. Side charts will be APHA, Microsoft, SQ, RKT, CSCO, and possibly Tesla. If you missed the analysis on any of those, just rewatch this stream once I end it and check it out. All right. Again, thanks for your time. I will see you all in chat tomorrow. Take care. Let's make some money.